Hope you're doing good. Micah back with another video. Back here to talk about the Pixel 8a after a few days. Yes, it's been at least 5 days now. Today's Monday, so about 5 days since owning the Pixel 8a, and I have a lot of beautiful thoughts about this beautiful phone and how whether or not this phone really is a potential flagship killer. The used to be powerful slogan of OnePlus now potentially transitioned over to Google. But now we're going to get into those thoughts. Before we do, if you guys haven't already, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, notification bell. It's all free. That way some videos, so you and I can sit back, check, see what's cracking. And don't forget, you guys can hit that super thanks button down there by the like and dislike button, Cash App and PayPal, and checking out the channel to watch all the videos that are available to you. Those are ways you guys can keep tech fresh and alive on this channel. Now let's get into the video. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the hardware. And at first glance, this looks just like the Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro. I got to see them in person. Never owned them, but just from a aesthetic perspective, it looks just like those two phones, except this phone has a little bit more roundness to it. To me, it really does kind of remind me of like the older iPhone 7 series look, along with the more recent iPhone 12 and on look, iPhone 15, a little more squarish, right? A little bit sharper edges, but for the most part, it has that aesthetic appeal along with the Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a beautiful aesthetic for a slab-based device. How much more creative can you really get with the slab? And Pixel via Google really has with the visor camera, which I also find to adore. It's a little slimmer. It's also a little more flat. I was actually expecting to protrude a little bit more to really help with back finger placement, but overall it's a nice package. You can feel the slight plastic edges that meet up with the frame, which is fine, but it doesn't get in the way, and to me it is a very, very pleasing feeling phone. The handleability is great. The back is frosted or matte, which is great. I actually thought it was going to be glossy. I believe the Pixel 8 Pro is. I don't know why they chose that route. I really think that they need to just stay away from the gloss look, because even though it may look a little bit more premium, we just don't like it. A lot of us complain about fingerprints. Going the more matted look, matted frame look will always win at the end of the day with us users and consumers of the smartphone daily use case. What else do I like about the hardware? The display is beautiful. Now, I will also say, as beautiful as the display is, the display also has a huge blue shift with it, where if you're not looking at it straight on, it can easily shift like blue and maybe even purple, and you almost get like a more true look at it. Almost has a better off angle look, because looking at certain skin tones straight on, if you're looking at a person and you shifting it ever so slightly, it looks like it brings a little extra level of saturation to the color, and overall just makes it look a little bit better. So it's interesting considering the displays that Google is using for the Pixel 8a. Still a beautiful, vibrant display, especially using adaptive color. I dropped down to natural, and it's still just as vibrant as adaptive. I'm actually a little surprised that not a lot of people are giving Google smoke for that, like they did Samsung with the S24 Ultra versus S23 Ultra, knowing that the newer anti-glare technology within the glass is what ever so slightly toned down the contrast and vibrancy. I'm actually a little surprised Google ain't catching a lot of flack for that, because to me there's a minimal difference, but to me it's just enough that I can go with natural and not really lose out on color saturation. So I thought I'd throw that out there. But overall, a very, very beautiful, striking device all the way around. You get USB-C support, 2 speakers or 3, at least 2 at the bottom or 1 at the top. Stereo setup, of course, right? You get a 64 megapixel camera on the back and a 13 megapixel, I believe, ultra wide. You get a 13 megapixel wide on the front as well. And the one thing we know Google to be known for is their computational photography prowess. The cameras come out with stunning quality, both from a photographic perspective and a telephoto photographic perspective, because even with digital zoom, Google still does a pretty decent job of maintaining quality when zooming in via super res zoom. I believe that's what it's called. One of the technologies that helps boost the digital image stabilization, if you will. It does still have a level of electronic stabilization, which is good. Videos, they do good with great light, and as usual, when light falls off, that some Android as a whole needs to do better with. Samsung has definitely made leaps and bounds in progress and improvement with their low light video capabilities, but Google still needs to get there with video in general, in my opinion, which is why I never necessarily gravitate towards grabbing my Pixel when doing video. I'll grab my Samsung or my iPhone to do videos, but not necessarily my Pixel yet, because to me the quality still isn't quite there yet, but it's decent enough to get away if you're trying to share and exchange with your friends and family. Professionally though, you need very, very good light to get away with that, in my opinion. What else do I like about this Google Pixel 8a? Well, it is the software experience. You get nearly the 99% of the software experience with the Pixel 8a as you would with the Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro, which is stunning because a lot of that has to do with the AI features, the magic features such as the editing, the audio editing, the magic eraser, just to name a few, the AI capabilities with voice recording and stuff like that. Like, you still get a lot of that in this phone, including the camera capabilities such as best take and top shot and super res zoom. You get the standard anyway, which is great. The real tone features, where it does a much better job of understanding skin tone. So, no matter who's taking the picture and whatever you're taking a picture of, they feel like they look like themselves in the output process of the photos. So software wise, it's pretty amazing the amount that you get with the Pixel 8a, including circle to search, that Google felt the need to keep with the Pixel 8a. And I think understanding Google's strategy with the Pixel series as a whole is data to improve data to improve data. The more data they got, the more they can improve it, the more they can showcase features such as with Gemini, such as with Google Assistant, such as with their computational photography to get those good pictures, because it's computational. It's less about the hardware and more about the software computing the image to give you the best quality image possible. And the more data they have access to, the better those images come for us, and the more likely we are to want to use their cameras because they are improved time and time again. And so hopefully, I will say with the Pixel 9 series and the Pixel 10 that we do see better quality hardware, because the better the hardware you also have, the way better the computational side of it will also be able to equally complement and thus provide even that much greater of an image. So that's something that I'm hoping that Google definitely focuses on when it comes to the Pixel 9 and the Pixel 10. Battery life. What else can I say about battery life? Battery life is absolutely stunning on here. For a 6.1 inch phone, much like my iPhone 15 Pro being around 6.1 inches, you get phenomenal battery life out of this. I can get a day, maybe even a day and a half out of this phone before having to place it on a charger again. Now, of course, that can depend on what I'm doing, but for the most part, I can make it through at least a day. And that could be a hard day where I'm watching a lot of videos, I'm doing a lot of scrolling, and this is off of Wi-Fi, so this is all straight from network connectivity. Battery life improves when on Wi-Fi, but just LTE connectivity or 5G, whatever you want to call it, I'm still getting fantastic battery life here on the Pixel 8a. And that's something to be said for a mid-range phone. It's got like a near 45 milliamp hour battery, which is actually pretty big and phenomenal given the size of this phone. Like, it's a pretty nice size battery for this size of phone in terms of thickness and height. And to be able to achieve that kind of battery life is phenomenal. All for $500. Can I recommend this with 128 gigs of storage? So far, yes, because I still have like 88 gigs of storage left. But I am much more utilizing the software services to keep things offloaded on my phone this time, to see how does that work. Am I comfortable with that? And so far, Google Photos has been doing their thing. Google Drive keeps most of my other stuff, so there's not a lot of things that I actually moved over that I needed to take advantage of other than photos. And so as long as my photos are housed in the Google Photos app and I don't have to worry about a lot of that, that's where you see those software services come in to save yourself storage space. So if you only got 500 and you can't afford $550 for the 256 gig, you'll be comfortable with 128 gig. I will say though that hopefully going forward, all companies move away from 128 because that's just not enough. Now, case in point, I mentioned this in another video of mine. The iPad Mini should start off with 128 and not 64. But even so, if you really wanted to do your consumers right, I would say 256 is now the minimum, especially given the fact that we're pushing higher quality photos, higher quality videos. Those two factors right there alone should behoove these companies to start the base models off with 256, because at least your consumer will be still happy to buy your device outright with the 256, then moving on completely because they don't have enough to upgrade from 64 or 128 to 256 or 512. At least being able to get the 256, you get them with the entry point. And I think that's what's important. That's what's more important, is being able to still give the consumer an option that they most likely will want. And 256 gig is almost a new basic standard at this point. I don't think things will get that much bigger with 256 couldn't just be the minimum for a good while, but 256 could be the minimum for a good while for most products as the base model. If it's a pro model, like a MacBook Pro, like a pro level laptop, desktop, then yes, 512 should be the minimum, not 256. So it's like scaling according to the field you're playing in. And I think that will provide much better use cases. Shoot, you can even say a terabyte is probably the minimum for pro level consumer-based devices, because a terabyte is very, very easy to fill with a pro level device with a lot of data having to transfer back and forth and sit somewhere. So again, those are just my quick thoughts on storage, but you can get away with 128 with the Pixel 8a if you're using Google software services, especially unless you like using OneDrive and stuff like that, because again, you're probably just going to be taking photos on this more so than anything. And those photos you can back up to Google Photos and not worry about a thing. So I could definitely recommend at $500, 128 gigs so far, right? This is only a few days in, but so far so good on my use case for the Pixel 8a. I haven't had any issues with that. Now, as you guys can see by the screen, I have it styled specifically a certain way, and this is using some tips and tricks with the Pixel 8a. So if you're interested in that video, the video will be dropping soon. So if you're interested in that, don't forget to ignite the like button, subscribe channel, the notification bell. That way, never my videos, it's all free. So that way you and I can sit back, check, see what's cracking. And don't forget, you can also support via the super things button by the like and dislike button, Cash App and PayPal, and check the channel out for more content available to you. That's a way for us to keep tech fresh and alive on this channel. So Micah signing out. Until the next video.